just to give us a couple extra inches. Again, always important to use barn wood if you can find it.
We're going to rotate the tires on this 2022 Honda Ridgeline. First thing you want to do is make sure your tires are or are not directional, and it'll usually say on here if they are. It'll specify if a rotation is one way or the other. These are the ones that came with the truck, so these are not directional tires. And then what we're going to do, since they're not directional, is we're going to take the front wheels, put them in the back, take the rear wheels and cross them to the front. And I'll show you why we're going to do that. Here we are. The old owner's manual says exactly to do that, so here's what we're talking about. Since we're non-directional, if you were directional, you just go front to back. But we're going to do a little crissity cross here. You're going to want to grab your wheel locks stored nice and easily in here. You have one on each side, one here. It's going to let the whole thing slide out when you get both of those off. And this one here. That one's a bit snug. Grab a pair of pliers if you tightened it too much last time. Pair of pliers. Get it started, and you can get it off by hand. Alright, got both of those. Bit of grease on there from the factory. And then it just slides out. Your nifty little wheel locks in here. I'm going to grab that. It's going to be attached to a little bar in the back, so you slide it over. And we'll be using those. Your wheel lock. Fits right on there. And then we're going to break all these loose before we jack the truck up, so it makes it easier and we're not fighting against ourselves. Feels like it's a 22, which also fits on the wheel lock. So we'll break these loose. Alright, they're broken loose. Do that on all the wheels. Suggest you grab a few of these pads from Harbor Freight. They're only like $4 when they're on sale or something. Or get them from wherever, but it makes it a lot nicer when you're kneeling on the ground. Thinking about putting that knee there. So, we're going to be jacking this up in the center. This is the rear of the vehicle. And I'll show you where in just a moment. Gotta get your jack centered underneath there in the center of the vehicle. Make sure you have a soft rubber bit in the center of my jack so it doesn't mar anything. And then we're just gonna jack it up. Having wheel chocks in the front of your vehicle, good idea when you're doing this. Alright, I went up a little higher than you might necessarily need to because I have a couple of 6-ton jacks that need to be taller to hold the back end, and I'll use the 3-ton jacks in the front. You're gonna look for your pinch weld under here, which is where you're gonna put your jack stand. So that'll sit right down there, and that's the rear one. We also have a couple when we're doing the front. Same situation right there. We're going to lower it down on our jack stands so we can use our jack in the front. There we are. Make sure, if you're like me, little rubber piece that went with the jack comes off. there for the front. Here you can see is where we're going to jack on the front of the truck. So it's just under the front lip. This guy here. So we'll line that up and jack her up. Alright, here we go. You just have to get the wheels off the ground so you can get enough clearance to swap them and to get your jack stands underneath the pinch wheels. About like that. And you place them right underneath here. Get them on both sides. About like that. Lower the jack and it's sitting on the stands, and we'll take off the wheels. Alright, we'll lower this one. And we're on the stands. Okay, we're gonna take off the nuts gently. First time these have been done. No scratches. We'll do that on all four wheels. This is the front passenger side, the front right. That's going to go straight back. And the rear left is going to come to this one. So we'll take off all the nuts and move the wheels. Something like that. While you're moving this back to the rear of the vehicle, it's a good idea to have a look over, make sure you don't find any nails or screws or any kind of strange swelling. And note that these are Firestone that came on these, and I'm old enough to remember what happened with that brand in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was pretty horrible. So not bad to look to see what's going on with your tires while you have them off. Alright, this is the rear right. I'm not going to do all these. You can take off the nuts yourself, but you get the idea. Doesn't hurt to have a toe here so your wheel doesn't go crazy when it comes loose. Just to balance it, keep things from getting scratched and flying around where you can't control them. Grab that one. Rear right goes to the front left, so we'll move that over there. Do your inspections as you roll. Front right going on to the rear right, straight back. And we're gonna get a couple of these lug nuts started. Finger tight, just to keep it nice and lined up before we set it back onto the ground. Nice how smooth these things are when you got a newer vehicle. This is not going to happen on my 4Runner. She's a bit more used. I'm going to give them just a little bit extra. We're still not torquing them down, but want to make sure when it hits the ground everything is nice and lined up, no slop. This is the rear left. It's going to be going on the front right. Alright, we got the left rear on the front right now. We're going to put these on, spin it by hand, give them a little extra snug. Not crazy tight, just to make sure everything is nice and seated before we lower the truck down. So now we're going to take the front left and put it on the rear left. Front left. Straight back onto the rear left. Alright, here we have the wheel from the rear right, and we're going to put it on the front left. Finger tight, and then we'll give them a little bit extra. Just a little bit. We'll do that on every wheel. Jack up, take out the jack stands, lower it down, torque them up. We're going to jack it up a little bit so we can get the jack stands out from underneath it. We'll do the same thing on the front. We'll lower this down now. And we'll get the front. Doesn't have to go crazy high, just enough to get your jack stands out. Doesn't hurt to have these little rubber covers that are on your jack stand. You pick those up too. Just helps from marring. Alright, we're going to drop her down. We're going to torque these to spec. I'm going to tighten these to 94 foot-pounds. In a crisscross pattern. There we are. Do that on all of them, and you just rotate your wheels. Make sure you put your wheel lock back in here. Slide everything back into position. Line up the holes like so. Put your wing nuts back on, or whatever these things are called, and tighten them up, and you're good to go. If it's lined up properly, it spins in nice and easy. You don't have to crank it down too crazy tight, apparently it's like I did last time. You just want to make sure nothing bounces around. About like that, about like that. Grab your pliers, and you're done.